Bienvenidos a Drums en Español, como siempre les saluda Harold Augusto. En el episodio de hoy tenemos una entrevista súper especial con McLean, baterista de Lion King en Broadway, Charlie Hunter Duo y muchas otras cosas. Puedes chequear todas las redes sociales de Drums en Español abajo en la descripción, Facebook, Twitter e Instagram. Si no te has suscrito al canal de YouTube o al podcast, también abajo en la descripción. Y si nos dejas un review o un comentario, eso lo va a ayudar al algoritmo para que mucha gente más nos encuentre. Puedes seguir a McLean abajo también en todas las redes sociales, YouTube, Instagram, y también el proyecto nuevo cardenmclean.com, un site completamente educativo para bateristas. Así que espero que se disfruten la entrevista. Paz.
See you playing. I remember before the whole pandemic started, you had a gig with Charlie at Nut Hill Brewery.
Yeah.
And got canceled. I got tickets for that show.
Did you get your money back?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, we were, that's like right up the street from where I live. So we had done 2 or 3 of those and they wanted us to come back, and obviously this all went down and that's not going to happen. So it'll happen again.
Yeah. Who knows when, but yeah. By the way, such a bummer, the Broadway thing till January.
Yeah, man, tell me about it. I got no job.
What?
I mean, that's the thing, though. When this all went, I was like thinking, oh, I'll just go play with Charlie or I'll go out on tour with someone else. And then I'm like, wait, nobody's playing.
Uh-huh.
So that's when it started to set in, like, wow, I'm not going to play out for a year, which is crazy.
What happened here? Okay. Oh, good. I'm recording on my safety.
Oh, like
to
a
make sure if
track.
one fail, I have a safety track.
Oh, that's cool, man.
So Lion King. I was talking to Mr. Dawson last week. He says hi.
Oh, cool.
Mr. Dawson says that your hands are something else, and we all seen it. And we kind of got into the agreement that if you were not a drummer, you were meant to be a surgeon or something.
That's very nice of him to say.
Yeah, no, it was super cool and kind from Mr. Dawson, Mike Dawson, for do this. So you have been, during this pandemic, one of the most productive people that I've seen. You put in 2 albums, a new website, remodeled the studio. The wall looks fantastic.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah, I literally, you can see the cameras and mics all set up. The studio, I'm a pretty organized person, but just when you have to record stuff and it has to be looking the right way and sounding the right way, you got to get all the stands out, all the cables out, all the lights out. And it's just, it drives me crazy having just stuff everywhere. But when you look, I've just literally was editing the tuning video right before we started, and it looks and sounds so good. I'm really excited for people to check out this new site.
So take us through the process of 2 albums, a whole website. Like, how do you keep the drive when the vibe and the atmosphere out there is like, it's almost the end of the world?
Yeah, man, it's hard. The last 2 weeks have been really rough for me. I'm typically a pretty easy person, and I don't know, it's just a lot politically, just health-wise, everyone on the planet, just like every country kind of having to shut down for a while. There's so many levels of intensity and kind of dark, heavy stuff that it's difficult every day. And we're in 4 months. I haven't been really working as I normally would, going into the city, interacting with friends, having dinner with people, but the great thing about playing the drums or any instrument or really an art is you don't really have a choice sometimes. Like, it kind of calls you to come and do it, and the days that I don't play are harder days. Like, even if I just come down and play for 10 minutes, I feel better. And it's a never ending search. I think like any artist you talk to is going to say, I mean, look at Roy Haynes, right? He's 93. I forget how old he is.
Quick Google search.
But that guy was still out gigging on his birthday. I think he's like 92 or 93. And so it obviously never stops. He doesn't have to go out and play, but he feels the need to go out and play. So that's pretty intense. But yeah, the first record I did, I was working on before the COVID thing happened.
95.
Oh my God. Dude, that's insane. But look, if I could be like Roy Haynes, I'd be very happy. Very happy.
If I can have 2/3 of Roy Haynes.
Yeah, if I could have Roy Haynes' pinky, I'm very happy. But so yeah, as far as the records are concerned, like I was gonna do a solo drum record before this even all started. I was talking about doing that in January or February. I had a bunch of clinics in Asia lined up with Ludwig. It was like, Indonesia, Singapore, Japan, Manila. Like it was all over the place. It was 2 weeks, and like every other day we'd be at an airport. And when this stuff started breaking out, I called him and I was like, man, I do not feel comfortable being in an airport and different hotel in front of a bunch of people every day playing. Like I just don't think it's safe. So I bailed on that. And then I was supposed to go to Barcelona to do a clinic at the Avisa Drum Fest. That obviously got canceled. So I was like, man, I'm going to just bang out this solo drum record. I've got all the time in the world right now. Might as well just do it. So I recorded everything in here. That black kit is on the first couple tracks.
Yes.
That green kit's on a lot. That red kit is on a bunch of stuff. I used every kit I have, basically.
And why not? You have all the kits over there.
I know, it's great.
Even that, how do they call it? The Neo, like the Oyster Black, like the Ringo Digital.
Oh, the New Sonic.
There you go.
Yeah, it's called Digital Black Oyster, I think. It's really cool. Every kit has a different thing.
I think Questlove is rocking that one in the show now.
Yeah, I saw that. Uli sent me a picture. He's like, Quest is using this now on the show. I was like, oh, it's cool, man. Which makes sense. It seems like a finish he would kind of dig.
Right.
So yeah, I did the solo drum record. People really dug that. I had a really good time diving into it. And it's not just, I didn't want to do a record where I'm just sitting down playing a bunch of difficult stuff. That to me is not that interesting. I wanted somebody that's not a drummer to be able to sit and listen to it and be like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. So I played my wife some of the songs. I played friends of hers who don't even know me some of the stuff. And they were like, this is dope. What is this? And I was like, great. So then I'm on the right track. So
Sweet.
Put that out. That did really well. People were happy with that. Then Charlie hit me up, was like, man, we should do like a play-along record for people since they're stuck at home, for keyboard players, saxophone players, singers, whatever, that they can play on top of. So it's a groove record with a form, but it's pretty wide open so people can add whatever they want on top. And we did that in like a couple days. He basically sent me a bunch of grooves that he had played to a click. Then I put on a click, played a bunch of grooves that I liked, sent them to him, and we just layered our stuff on top of each other. And it was great.
That's sweet. That's killer. I mean, the whole process of, who put a video on that? I think Christopher McBride put a video the other day on, like, what is it, Jazz in America? Talking about like rehearsing via the internet and how this technology that we have with us makes this possible. Like, for you're in Connecticut, I'm in the Bronx, and we're able to do this.
Oh yeah, I've done talks with people in Australia the same way, and it feels exactly the same. You could basically be anywhere on the planet.
Right. And I'm a teacher. I teach middle school and high school music. I was doing my lessons like YouTube form. Like, I set up my camera, got a decent camera, and here it is. Digest it. Send me your homework.
It works. I mean, everybody's doing that because they don't have a choice. And honestly, I think it's the smart move is to stay home, you know?
Definitely. I agree.
If you look at our chart and the rest of the world's, ours is going way up and everyone else is going way down. And people are not taking the mask thing and distancing and staying away seriously. And unfortunately, it's going to bite everybody in the tail at the end because, you
can curse. It's cool.
Well, I'm just trying to be, oh, trust me, I've got a bad fucking mouth. But it just gets I don't know. It's just kind of sad. I wish people, took things a little bit more seriously, because it's just going to prolong the whole country.
Yep.
So I don't want to get political. There's enough of that on the radio every day. So
I agree with you. I mean, I was doing laundry this morning, and right here, basement of my building, 6-7 people in, no masks. Is like, but like, God damn it, for real.
no masks.
Yeah. I mean, chin covers at this point.
Yeah, I just look at those people and I'm like, come on, man, what are you doing?
But
What you can say.
But isn't the Tesla has the best air filter in a car?
I have no idea. I'm not driving a whole lot right now because I got nowhere to be.
I think they're like hospital grade filters. I'm not joking.
Are. I bet they are.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. It's a great car.
So tell me something. Why you keep getting vintage stuff? Like, you have the whole Ludwig modern catalog at your disposal, pretty much. Why keep looking back?
I just think, look, I have a bunch of modern Ludwig snares. I have a ton of old ones. I just, when I joined up with Ludwig, I was like, man, this is really cool. They have such a history of making fantastic drums. I want to check them out. Because believe it or not, I had never even played like a Superphonic until I signed up with Ludwig, which is crazy. That's like the most that drum is everywhere.
Yeah, it's an iconic thing.
And it's in like every music school. It's like all over the place. And I just had never played one. So I started buying, and I found it's funny, when I signed up with Ludwig as an artist, a lot of people were like, man, that's so cool. Ludwig has like a warehouse of old drums they're giving you. And I'm like, no, that would be Reverb or eBay or wherever I find them. And I just wanted to find stuff that was reasonably priced, that was like unique and old and had a certain thing. Like, I have a little 4x14. I think it's a 2-piece brass shell with 6 lugs. That sounds incredible. That drum tuned really low sounds huge, but it's, it's thin.
Right.
It's crazy. I just found this unbelievable drum on Reverb that was expensive. It was the most expensive drum I've ever bought. But it's a 1928 or 29 solid mahogany shell, 10 nickel plated lugs with the original head, original hoops and everything. And that drum was like a museum piece. It came in a briefcase from the original guy who had it.
Oh, yeah. So for the people who's watching this on YouTube, I'm going to put the link to that video somewhere up here.
Oh, yeah, I do like a little demo review about the drum.
Right.
It's just more like a history thing. And I was like, man, somebody...
even the sticks that came with it.
Yeah, they're like rosewood. And, man, I rolled those on a granite countertop, and they are dead straight.
Wow.
I was like, oh, these are going to be kind of like a banana. They're going to be wobbly. They were perfect.
So when you started posting those Ludwig, like, vintage kits, like the red one, what is it, the standard?
Yeah, this is the standard kit. That's just like an old downbeat kit. Then that's the green. This is weird doing it backwards. This is
that's a modern one.
This I got actually near you in the Bronx for a really good deal. That's a 1948 13 16 22 oyster kit. Was it Marine Oyster or something like that? It was a custom ordered kit back in the day.
Wow.
Double tom. I have small drums, but I wanted a 13 22, and that drum set sounds incredible. It's just got a really nice, punchy, warm thing to it.
So when you started doing this, I went on, I think I got it on Craigslist or something. It got me a early 90s rocker.
Nice.
Just a snare, metal. And I had a Pearl, a modern Sensitone, and I put them side by side. And I sold the Pearl. I kept the Ludwig just because it's lighter, it's equal punchy, and it just have that thing. I don't know if it's a throw off. It's like a vibe thing that instrument calls me to play. Yeah,
Ludwig for me, like when I was looking at getting together with a new company, there was really only a couple companies, and Ludwig was kind of the top of my list just because of the history. And in the last, I don't know, probably 8 years, their drum quality has just gone through the roof. Like when I went down to the factory and saw how they were being made, I was like, these are handmade drums. Like it's not just people ripping them off a line. I mean, each drum is hanging out with a lot of different people along the way, and they're really paying attention. It's very, very cool. And I just love the way they sound. They feel and sound like drums to me. A lot of the modern stuff is kind of a one-trick pony in general. Like it's like super modern for like that pop rock, like do do do, and that's kind of all it does, no matter what you do to them.
Yeah, it's like
So-
certain microphones or certain heads that it just does like that one thing.
Yeah, and that's cool if you're in Motley Crue or some big rock band and you just want like these Canon drums, then maybe brand X or whatever is great for you. But honestly, like this black kit is a classic maple kit, 7-ply maple shell. I did a demo of that, and that thing sounds incredible for like pop rock stuff if you wanted to do that. Those are beautiful drums.
Oh, no. You said that finish is the same one that they use for pianos, right?
Yeah, Steinway. It's the exact same recipe for the Steinway stuff. So it's the same finish. It's a really beautiful. I mean, people think like, even some friends were like, man, why are you ordering a black drum set? I'm like, because Steve Gadd's been rocking a black drum set forever, and the shit is still cool.
Yep.
So I don't want to hear about it. And B, it's just like a classic. I could play in a death metal band with that. I could play in a bebop trio. You could do anything with a black drum kit, and it's cool.
And don't get it
Like
yellow
jeans
because
and
that's
black.
already trademark.
Yeah, it's like jeans and a black T-shirt. Like you're not going to lose doing that. There's nobody that's going to be like, nice outfit. So, but I couldn't be happier with Ludwig, honestly. And just doing this tuning video I just finished, and the technique video I finished last week, the drums sound incredible. They really sound amazing. And I'm just using an overhead and a bass drum mic. I'm not close micing anything. So I want the website to feel like you're sitting in the room across from me and we're talking and you can hear what I'm hearing in the room.
So now that you mentioned the website, let's go deep in the website. CarterMcLean.com, September 1st.
Boom. That's all you need to know.
That's it?
Well, so like I did four hands drumming about 4.5 years ago, and it was a totally different situation. Like that project initially started with myself, Matt Johnson, and Mark Juliana. And it was really Matt's idea. He was like, man, I see what you and Mark are doing. I think we should, we're all friends. He's like, we should do something together. I think it would be really fun. And I think everybody plays so different that, I think it could be a really cool group to teach. And I was like, great. So it was like two amazing players that are great guys. And then we started having meetings. What are we going to call it? Da, 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 da. And then all of a sudden, Mark got a book deal to do a book and a video. Mm-hmm. So he's like, man, I can't really do both. Like, it's kind of doesn't make sense business-wise. I was like, yeah, go do the book. It's like no-brainer. And that's a great book. People should check out his book.
Absolutely.
And Mark's phenomenal. And so is Matt. And they're totally different kind of players if you know they're playing. So then Matt and I have known each other since, like 2000 probably. And he's like, well, the two of us can do it. I said, okay, great. So we started Four Hands Drumming. To clarify, the name is Matt's Two Hands and my two hands is four hands.
Four hands.
Some people are saying, oh, well, you're saying you're so fast, you sound like you have four hands. I was like, I never said that. You came up with that. That's not my intention. And that has really nothing to do with anything. That kept changing. After about 4 episodes, Matt had to go to LA and had a bunch of stuff go down, so he couldn't contribute anymore. And then I was stuck with it. And I was like, well, this is kind of weird. We started it one way and we're ending it another way. And I like what we put out. There's interviews with Charlie Hunter and myself. There's an interview with Tom Barney, who's an amazing bass player, played with Miles Davis. Yeah, he's played with everybody, though. Whitney Houston, Elton John, Steely Dan, you name it. And so I wanted to take what I learned from doing that and do it from the ground up with just me producing it, doing everything. So it's a very clear-cut vision. So to me, Four Hands Drumming is going to go away. Anybody that has subscribed will have a link so they still have the information that they paid for. But the new website is going to be, I think, like a souped up version of what that was.
Having the website, would it be a substitute, at least like a temporary fix of your masterclass and you going out there teaching, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the website is more than you're going to learn in one of my master classes, because unless you came to like a 2-day camp with me, you're not going to learn everything. I mean, this is like 8 to 10 hours of footage. Where if, you go see me in a clinic, you might get an hour and a half, maybe,
Right. When I took that master class at the Chicago Drum Show, I'm still working on the groupings of 5s and 7 on double stroke.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's funny is people always want more, right? In this day and age, everyone's swiping through things and you're constantly wanting more information, but nobody's absorbing any of it really in a real way. I mean, I still hear people, I'm like, play me a nice single stroke roll. They can't.
Right.
It's really uneven. Their right hand's usually louder. The spaces between the notes aren't even. The dynamic range is very limited. And yet they want to learn how to, play Indian rhythms in 7, 9, and 13 together on the drum set. And I'm like, man, you can't even play a single stroke roll correctly. Like, you need to go back. I know it's not exciting, but you got to go back and dial that stuff in, or everything moving forward is going to be garbage.
I mean, when I was talking to Dawson last week, his approach was the same, but for time. Like,
he's obsessed with having like perfect time.
Exactly. And his approach was something around like, well, you can conceptualize certain things, but if you don't play it in time, you don't play it in time. It's not going to groove. It's not going to sound good. It doesn't matter. If it's not in time, it's not in time. And having those fundamentals, like hands, time, maybe some sort of understanding the history and the feel of certain groove. If none of those are in place, you're not going to grow as a musician, as a drummer.
Yeah, and this is something I say a lot in lessons is you might have these amazing ideas, right, in your head, like all this cool drumming vocabulary and all this stuff. But unless you can execute it and play it the way you hear it in your head, it doesn't matter.
Right.
And that's the sad part. Like, a lot of people do have good ideas, but their technique isn't there to express it. And that's when I would give them a lot more technique to work on. Vice versa, more often than not, people do not have the ideas, but they have crazy technique. And then you get these drummers that are just doing fast technical things, but it doesn't hit you emotionally, And I think that's missing a lot, especially right now where people aren't able to connect with other human beings.
Yep.
I really miss just sitting down and having a beer or something with my friends. We don't get those breaks that, out of life. We're on a huge break technically, right, as musicians, but we don't get that mental checkout to just hang and shoot the shit with your buddy at a bar or at a restaurant and have a nice meal and like interact. And that's something I've noticed in the last couple of weeks that I'm really missing, is that just interaction personally, like that hang time. And I think that helps you as a human and as a musician. It contributes to you getting inspired. After you sit, let's say we're having dinner somewhere and we're getting super excited about Elvin Jones or Tony Williams or Brian Blade or somebody, you want to go home and like play after you talk, but when you don't have that, you're just kind of staring at your drum set with nothing bouncing back at you going, man, I don't know what I should be doing.
The only quick fix, and it's quick and it's not the best, I catch up with a friend and we go to a park and we're 6 feet apart, and he brings his guitar, tiny little amp, and I bring my kick and snare and hi-hat, and that's it. And that is our only fix.
That's great. Have you been doing that?
Yeah, we've done it a few times.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's a very cool idea.
So, but it sucks because sometimes you want to record it or you want to have it in a controlled environment, and there's no way that you can have a controlled environment.
No, not right now. I mean, the word I got from the people on Broadway and at Disney Theatrical were basically, March at the very earliest is when we would be open. And my last gig was March 11th. And it was funny because I didn't know that they were going to close the show the next day, but I remember going home that night on the train and seeing a bunch of people with masks on. And I was like, man, I should probably get a mask. This is before everything got shut down.
Right.
And the next day and I told my wife, I said, I think I'm going to take 2 weeks off from work and stay home just to be safe.
Right.
You know, thinking 2 weeks, this is going to blow over maybe. And then we started realizing how bad this was going to get. And that was the last show. They canceled Broadway the next day. And it was only going to be for 4 weeks. Then it was 2 months. Then it was like, yeah, we'll see you next year.
Yep. Yeah, I have a friend who he's a trombone player at Frozen. And Frozen is gone. It's gone.
Yeah, my buddy was the musical contractor for that, so he probably hired your friend. And you know, I knew a lot of the people at that show, and they were so psyched when it opened. Man, this is going to be a huge hit. Da 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 da. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, great. I wish everyone that their show runs forever. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
But when I heard that close, I was like, man, this is not a great situation. You know, because now those people are out of work. I at least have a little bit of a hope that Lion King will hopefully open back up. But nothing's guaranteed.
Definitely. I mean, after 21 years. So that's the thing. Lion King, 21 years, solid. One of the best shows that I've seen. And the people doesn't get tired of watching the show. There's nothing history-wise new to the show, but it's such a great production.
Yeah, I mean, the storyline, I think, and, you know, the visual and the music is what keeps it. Nothing's ever, and I basically say, unless people stop having families, you know, then maybe the storyline will get old. But, like, there's always new kids growing up that want to go see it. And it really is, it's, you know, it was, what was it, 95, 96 it came out. It's still packed every night. You know, when we were open, it was like one of the top 2 shows every week.
Right.
And I got lucky landing a show where the drum book is actually cool. It's fun. You know, I could have been stuck playing doop bap doop bap doop bap doop bap doop da doop da doop da for 20 years. That I would go crazy.
Don't make me. So playing pitch shows is one of my favorite gigs, and when I was able to do those, and I remember playing this one show. What is it, Smokey Joe's Cafe or something?
Oh yeah, that's old school. Yeah,
man, that was a boring book, and it was like a 3-week run. It's like I can't imagine, people doing this for years and years and years.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. There's a certain point where you kind of can just zone out and go to work, And when I was doing it, even though I've been doing it 18, 19 years, I still never lost sight of the fact that I was very lucky to be in that position. And after that many years of playing the same exact show over and over and over, you can easily tap out and be like, yeah, I don't care. This is stupid. Mm-hmm. But as a musician, you have to realize how lucky you are to be in a position like that. Even if you're like, I can play this in my sleep, which everybody could for the most part, it doesn't matter. You need to be present for those 2.5 hours at least when you're playing. If there's a break and you could be on your phone, that's fine. Right. But when I was playing, every moment I was playing, I was in it. I mean, you can ask Dawson, like he learned the book and did a great job, but when it's time to play at that show, there's not a lot of room for fuck ups.
Oh no. Dawson said that those are the 3 most intense hours. Like his tunnel vision is book and then monitor. Like in anything after that, it doesn't exist.
Yeah. And he's a great sub. And the reason I called him to sub on the show is because I knew he was very meticulous about things. Mm-hmm. Right, about little details, which is what you need to do. But he also is a good groove player. And he was a really nice guy. So I was like, I just asked him one day, I think he was doing an interview for Modern Drummer, an article on me in Modern Drummer, and he was at the pit. And after the show, I was like, man, would you be interested in learning in the book? And he would be rad. And so he did a great job. And it's tough to find subs because you got to have people that are very meticulous, but also groove really well, have a good touch, know how to play a lot of styles. It's difficult. I
mean, especially to that level, because there are no rehearsals for a sub.
No.
The sub show and play, and that's it. There's no safety net.
It's nerve-wracking. It's nerve-wracking for both people because I'm at home and I'm like, okay, it's 8:06. He's playing Circle of Life right now. Hopefully my phone doesn't ring in the next 10 minutes. So once they're in for the whole show, it's intense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the lights go off and you go, man, I hope I remember these 10,000 little things. And if you mess up any little thing, the conductor's like, I see you. I'm going to give you a note on that. you know.
Nah,
But that's how it goes.
that kind of pressure is cool, but to that level, it has to be something else. Like,
it's intense.
Definitely. So, what I was going to say, let's talk about your booze selection and your coffee bar, because you have proudly shown that and kind of envy of your coffee bar.
Well, the coffee thing is, I kind of have one coffee that I really, really like. And my wife and I didn't really drink coffee, and my wife drank like 2 cups a day. And so when we started living together, I started having a cup of coffee in the morning. Then I started liking it. And then we have very similar tastes with booze and coffee and everything and food. She's an amazing cook. So we found this one coffee company called Kicking Horse from Canada.
Right.
Unbelievable coffee. You would not think Canada for coffee. They get their beans all like elsewhere, obviously, but it's the actual kind I get is called Kick-Ass, and it's a really dark roast, really full flavor. It's not sour. A lot of people like that really sour coffee, which I can't stand.
No.
That's like the new popular thing. And I just do a double shot of espresso with a little bit of water and a teeny bit of sugar, or sometimes black. That's the coffee thing.
So you go straight Americano.
Yeah, basically. And sometimes I'll just do like a teeny bit of water, like basically just espresso. If I'm just like, boom, I got to get down here and go and not have time to enjoy it and just want to kind of get going. But the booze thing, I could do a whole 2-hour talk about, because when my first date I went on with my wife, we went to this really cool bar in the city that she picked. And when she sat down, I said, what can I get you? And she's like, oh, I'll have a Lafroig straight up. And I was like, damn, that's like a really strong, smoky, peaty scotch.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, this girl's serious. Okay. And I loved that drink. So I was like, oh, this is off to a good start. And then we slowly, once we got in, to dating and finally got married and engaged, our collection we would try to outdo each other as far as bringing home a bottle. So like I'd bring home like a Japanese whiskey that I thought was really unique and really cool. And then she'd bring home like the 23-year version of that Japanese whiskey. And I'm like, shit, okay. But we actually got married at Buffalo Trace Distillery in Kentucky.
Okay.
In
so when I live in Illinois, the Bourbon Trail was kind of close to us. It was about a 4-hour drive. We never get to do it.
It's really fun.
But yeah, because we were pretty south in Illinois.
Yeah, so you could just scoot over and do like, Four Roses, Woodford, Buffalo Trace. You could do all of that stuff.
Angel Envy.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many new ones too. I mean, this is like 2008 to 2010. I was like collecting bottles like I collect snare drums. And I was finding really rare stuff. The bourbon industry and kind of the whiskey industry really blew up in 2011. So 2010, I was getting really amazing bottles that you just cannot find. You'll never find again. And I have a stockpile of stuff. I probably have 150 bottles upstairs. More than half are not even open. There's probably 100 unopened. But yeah, I mean, it's just something that's like cymbals or drums. It's like, they're all unique. And I'm not like, chugging bourbon, walking around the house drinking all day. I'll pour like a 1.5, 2 ounce dram and hang out with it for an hour, And it's just fun doing tastings. Like we'll try to stump, my wife and I will set up tastings. So there'll be 4 small samples in front of you, and you've got to guess what's what and how old it is. Is it bourbon? Is it rye? And my wife, she'd be like, oh, that's the barrel proof Booker's from 2018. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's just crazy. So,
I mean, between snares, bourbon, watches, that's it. You cover.
Don't get me started on watches. I was just talking to Farrah today. They're sending me all these photos of the new releases for this year and next year. Really cool stuff.
I'm into woodworking, and one of my favorite woodworkers, he's starting a watch channel. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So I'll shoot you the link. His name is Jonathan Katz Moses. I mean, his craftsmanship is incredible. He does a lot of dovetails.
Oh, wow.
So he's gonna expand a little bit his scope to watches.
Nice.
Really look forward to that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just fun to have other hobbies and like, different industries that you can get into. And watches for me have we as drummers keep time for a living. So
Right.
there's a connection of keeping time and watches and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's some, and this is a good piece of advice for drummers and musicians in general. Music is not everything. Music could drive you to do other things, and bring that to music. Could be either the aesthetic, or I don't know, something that makes you passionate that you can bring back to the music. Because if you focus only on the drums, then
it's not a full life. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, look, I've dedicated my entire life to playing drums and music and soaking up as much as I can, and I still am in love with it. And I walked away from playing for a year. I've talked about this a million times, and I started a photography company. And that's what I was doing for a year. I was interning with people in New York City. I was doing weddings. I was doing product shoots. I was doing shoots for like Allstate Insurance and stuff, like, legit stuff. And then all of a sudden Lion King called and said, "Hey, we'd like you to take over the show." And I was like, wow, okay. So I felt like I had to walk away from it legitimately and not just say, "Oh, I'm going to quit," and then you don't. I actually stopped playing professionally. And then it felt like the music thing called me back to say like, no, this is what you're supposed to be doing. And I could have gone the other way. We could not be having this conversation and I could be doing a podcast on photography. But I get as into photography, and I was really into still photography, and now it's more videography because I have to figure out how to keep up with like the Mike Johnstons and all, like Benny Grebs and all these guys where the video production is like insane.
They're crushing it. They are.
Like when I saw Benny's little commercial for his metronome gap click thing,
which I'm enjoying that app. I really like it. Yeah, it's like, what is it, $1.99 or so?
Yeah, it's a couple bucks, and it's like very useful. Yeah, but I looked at that commercial he put up, and I'm like, that's like a pro level Apple quality commercial. Like, I don't know. I think he uses the same guy for everything he does in Germany. And it's just like, all right, well, now I have to be a videographer because I'm not going to spend whatever thousands of dollars to pay someone to do it. I'm going to figure out how to do it long term, And, every time I talk with Mike Johnson, I'm asking him about lenses. How do I do this in Premiere? Like, because that's what he is zoning out on a ton right now, is like getting the video thing really incredible. And it's hard to keep up with, man. I'm like, look, I'm just trying to figure out how to play the drums still. Now I got to be a videographer, an audio engineer, a marketing agent, all by myself,
And you changed your whole workflow in the computer, because you jump from iMovie to Premiere. Dude. and you jump from Pro Tools to Luna.
And so I couldn't be happier with either of them. I mean, iMovie is kind of like an entry level. It comes for free with a Mac. But like, that's what I did everything with. And honestly, if you're using two cameras and you just need a little bit of text, it's fine. It works, right? But Premiere is so much more deep on the editing. The accuracy of lining up audio to video is like, you can zoom in so much more and just nail things.
I mean, at times it sync it for you.
Oh, yeah, you can attach it that way. I never trust the auto sync anything. I always have to see it.
Okay.
But like, the fonts you can download are beautiful. I mean, my site is going to look very clean and very warm and inviting, like we're hanging out, having a conversation, right? So the text is very crisp. I'm not flying in crazy graphics and stuff. That to me distracts, I think, the student. And it's just not my aesthetic,
My wife uses Adobe for her work, and so we have access to the whole cloud and all the apps, and they even have a Premiere for iPad, which crushes iMovie.
Oh, I'm sure.
So if you're gonna do like quick edits, you're gonna be like on a short tour or a clinic tour. Put that on your device. It's called Adobe Premiere Rush.
I'm sure it's amazing.
Killer.
Yeah, their products are really good. And I mean, it's funny, when I decided that I'm going to redo this website, I reached out online and just said, hey, are there any good web developers out there that want to help me out with this? And these two guys hit me up that are fans, and they both work for Adobe.
Wow.
And they're like, man, we'd love to help out. We love what you're doing. And it's pretty basic. I'm just adjusting what the forehand site was. All new photos, all new text and everything, simplifying it, and then all new videos. And that's really the whole point, but just having people that know what they're doing. I just thought it was interesting that they both work for Adobe. So I'm excited though. The website, I'll stop talking about it, but it's going to be really cool. I'm actually.
No. I'll make sure to put a link down in the description. CarterMcLean.com, September 1st.
Yeah, it's just simple to remember. 4 hands. People aren't like, what does that mean? It's like, forget it. Never mind. Go to my name, CarterMcLean.com. Everything you will need to know is right there. And it's a one-time fee. It's $200 to join. And it's like, it's not for a year, it's forever. And, it's going to be an initial chunk of videos, like probably 8 to 10 really in-depth videos. I mean, the tuning video already is over an hour. Wow. And it's like, I go through a snare drum. I go through every different way I can tune that drum in real time so you can see it.
I mean, you put that tuning video on YouTube, which you took down. And that video, what was it, like 35 minutes? And it was super comprehensive. I can't imagine you going over 3 different kits and several snares.
Yeah. I mean, I used my little green kit. Then I finished up with this kit. I may add another kit, but just between those 2 kits, I don't want to just keep repeating the same information and just on a new drum set. It doesn't really matter. But the biggest thing that people need to learn about tuning is they got to listen. It's such a simple, like, oh, I am listening. It's like, no, you're not. You know what I mean? Because like people say, well, here's my drum. Why doesn't it sound good? I'm like, well, this top head makes no sense. Like this lug is cranked. This lug is dead. This drum head for the sound you're going for is wrong. I mean, there's like a lot of basic stuff. If you get right out of the gate, choose the right drum head for the sound you want. Have everything be even. And then there's all these other little tricks once you can do that. But most people can barely get there, Right. And it's shocking to me. I'm like, I wasn't even going to do a tuning video. And Pete, that was the number one thing people were asking for. How do you tune your drums?
And also know your room. Like if you're going to move your drum from place to place, you have to recheck all the tuning because the drum itself is going to react different to a different room.
Yeah, if you're in a super bright room and you're playing like just like a pop gig, like a top 40 gig, and you're in a room that's marble and glass and mirror, you're going to maybe want to mute your drums a little bit and not have them be like wide open, like do, do, do. That is going to be so loud and obnoxious in that room. I would be immediately getting like bandanas out, big fat snare drums, a wallet, whatever, just like deaden everything up so it's tight. You basically build a compressor into your drums.
I bet. No, let me ask you this one question. And I really appreciate you taking the time to do this hangout. And it's okay if you don't want to answer this question, but you're putting your albums, you're selling them yourself. Mm-hmm. Why not going through all these other platforms that people have more access to?
Because the artist makes $0.
Huh. So
I put in a ton of effort and time into making these things nice, right? Recording. I mean, I don't know, $25,000, $30,000 worth of recording gear here, right? Nobody gave me that shit for free. You know what I mean? It's like, how is a musician supposed to keep up good quality if people aren't actually paying them for their craft? It's like, if you go to the movies, you got to pay $15, $20 to go to see the movie, right? So those movie studios spent who knows how many, $100 million, $80 million to make a movie. If they just said, oh, just, it's okay, it's free, there'd be no more movies. You know what I mean? There's Netflix and people are going towards things like that. But I'm not trying to make 2 cents a download. You know what I mean? I don't have time for that. And I would rather only sell like 500 records to people that actually give a shit than have 5 million streams and make way less money probably,
Interesting. No, I'm asking you because you're the only one that I've seen actively selling your merchandise through you. Like you are like you are the publisher and you are the contact to get it done rather than Spotify, Apple Music, and all those places.
Well, I have a record I did on like a long time ago. It's a singer-songwriter record where I'm singing and playing guitar called Ghost Bridge. And I basically played all the instruments on that record, and that is on Spotify. And I printed physical CDs. But I lost money on that. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not making any money on that stuff. Right. And that was more of an experiment. But stuff I'm really putting out that I want people to check out, I don't feel like it's unreasonable to ask for $15 for a CD.
Absolutely,
Or for a
absolutely.
digital download. And I'm also giving like FLAC files. They're like the full res, higher quality than CD, basically.
So if any of you are interested in Carter music, Carter McLean at Gmail, right?
Yep. Yeah. You can email me. I've got a solo drum record with Charlie, a few other records I haven't talked about a lot. One with Charlie and this girl, Silvana Estrada, which is a beautiful record. She's kind of blowing up as an artist in New Mexico. Or not New Mexico, Mexico City. And, you know, you can get my Ghost Bridge record on Spotify. You can just listen to that for free. And then Charlie and I are going to do another Volume 2 Groove record probably in about a month or two.
Now that you mentioned Charlie, wasn't Charlie going to work on an app like to build groove and to play with, like sort out with you guys?
I did a bunch of beats on that. I actually forgot about that. I sent it to him and his engineer. They might still be working on it, but they sent me a demo that was actually really cool. You could take whatever, like a Gadsden kind of a funky groove. And I played it at like 10 different tempos, exactly the same. And then the program figured out basically how you could adjust it. It was really cool. And I tried it on one of them. I was like, man, I could pick any tempo and it feels just as good. It was really cool. Instead of just a click, you know what I mean? Like, you obviously it's like a click, but it's a groove. So maybe that'll come out. I don't know. I mean, right now, all I'm focused on, because it's such a mountain of work to get done in the next month, is the website. Because, you know, I'm doing a whole episode on recording and how I place my microphones, what preamp do I use. Then I do a whole screen share of this is how I EQ, compress, you know, master bus, what I'm doing to get the sound to the people's ears. You know, creativity, groove construction, a million different things.
They can look forward to the website. I'm definitely going to join in. That'll be my Christmas present. My wife is not looking. But I look forward to that because like you said a lot, a lesson with you is X amount of money. Buying the website give you much more value. So
yeah, it's $80 more for 10 times the amount of hours, basically.
So it's a total no-brainer. We didn't get to talk about your book, but it's amazing. You all can check it out también in Amazon. Concept and Creativity. And if you're not following Carter on social media, Carter Mac on Instagram and the YouTube channel, you're blowing. You're over 50K subscribers, right?
On YouTube, yeah. On YouTube. That went from like, I had my YouTube channel up forever, just kind of for fun, and I'll demo the snare drum and just play and put it up. And it went from like 10,000 to 50,000 in like 6 months or something.
What? No, as they say on YouTube, the YouTube lingo, you went viral. You what to say? Smash it like 2020 style or something like that.
Oh
I don't speak YouTube that much.
One of the videos has like 1.5 million views, which is crazy.
Killer.
I went on and I was like, man, this went over 1 million. Now it's like 1.5 million. And it's a snare drum head demo. It's like, you never know, man. I'll work really hard and like put up something I think is really dope. And I'm like, oh, people are going to totally dig this. It's great. And nobody cares. And then I'll put up something like where I'm wearing flip-flops and shorts and I kind of don't really care. And that's the one that gets like 1 million views.
It's like one of my favorites is the studio remodeling thing.
Oh, yeah, that was fun. That was in this room. I mean, this was a garage.
Right. And that's one of my favorite videos because you get to see the whole progress. And
I'm doing another one of those for the install of this back wall. I took a bunch of photos and I'm going to do a video talking about it. I'm going to post that probably the next week.
Nice. So I'm going to link all that in the show notes. Carter, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for doing this. And thanks, man. Look forward to the website.
Cool. Thanks for having me.